All right, everyone, this is actually the third time in the last couple of months that I've had to correct glaring inaccuracy within an article that was written by Vice News. Now, this time it's actually not coming from like a far left angle. Usually it's basically Vice is saying, oh, there are more than two sex chromosomes, or, people should do anal expansion or something. It's good for yogic, yogic power. Something really, really weird. Like they proclaimed that paganism was being taken over by neo-Nazis. That was like a week ago. And I can't remember what they had made before that. But this one's actually about drugs. It's about Salvia divinorum, which is a substance that I used many, many times when I was using these things. I stopped using all mind-altering substances other than, I was a smoker. I've quit now. I'm now, as of right now, I think 7 months without cigarettes, so I'm no longer craving it. It actually took about 6 months for the remnant cravings to go away. It was pretty crazy, but after 3 days it got a lot better and it was bearable. Now, I do drink alcohol. I do drink a lot of caffeine. Obviously, I have to. It's part of my public image. What can I do about it? People expect me to slowly destroy my vascular health. No, I actually love coffee a lot. There's some literature to suggest that it's actually healthy for your heart. So, drink up, boys. But yeah, 4 cups a day for better health. Now, here's the thing, though. Vice is claiming, oh, Salvia, and it prefaces this on like a meeting of I guess, psychonauts, talking about how it's singularly different from all other drugs. It's terrifying. It's the most powerful natural drug known to man. Well, yeah. Certainly, Salvinorin is extremely powerful, and if you use it improperly, you're going to knock yourself on the ass. But here's the thing. My thought is this, based on the anecdotes that I read, like on Arrowhead and other sites. I have a sneaking suspicion most people who had shitty trips on Salvia, they took a small amount. They did what a psychonaut usually does, which is they used something very low concentrate, used a small amount. It didn't do much of anything. They said, oh, well, that's a letdown. They went online to find out why it was a letdown and saw a bunch of people talking about how they smoked, 50 times extract. Oh, yeah, I loaded that fucking bong with pure Salvinorin and just hooted that shit down. I was shoving it in my ass. I was putting it in my eyeballs. I injected it into my arm. And it was really powerful. And they saw this, and so they decided to get a really high concentrate. Not knowing that you don't smoke if you're using a concentrate like that and you smoke it like you smoke marijuana, you're going to be balls to the wall. By the time you breathe out, you're going to be seeing mushrooms on your eyes. If people use too much without easing themselves into it, yeah, you can have bad trips. Oh, trust me, you might be one of the 1 in 20 people that enjoys it. You're much more likely to really, really hate it. And then when you get sober, which is about 20 minutes later tops, sometimes the trip only lasts 10 minutes, depending on the dosage, depending on the person. For me, it averaged about 12 to 15 minutes, roughly. You're never going to want to use it again. It'll be like psilocybin. After a bad psilocybin trip, trust me, for weeks, you don't even want to think about mushrooms. The one time I took psilocybin, I didn't really enjoy it. It was interesting. It was spiritual enlightenment for like 20 minutes. Then it became a little scary and I ended up going to bed. It wasn't a very fun night. No, absolutely not until I started sobering up from it. I thought LSD was, honestly, for me, I responded more well to it. But here's the thing. Salvia divinorum, in my experience, was overwhelmingly positive. I know, that puts me in a minority. But then again, and I've made a video about this, when I discussed entheogens in my actual series. This is one of the things I pointed out first and foremost. I have an atypical response to a lot of drugs. That is, things that other people think are great, I think are shitty. Things that other people think are shitty, I think are great. Like, for instance, a lot of people talk about morning glory as being a very dirty high, somewhat unpleasant, stresses them out. I felt it to be blissful, thought it was extremely clean and pure, wonderful stuff. I'm not, disclaimer, I'm not suggesting you use any of these things. Mushrooms versus LSD. People say, well, LSD's harder, I found mushrooms harder. People say it's the come up of mushrooms and the come down of acid that's hard, and then vice versa. I found the opposite to be true. Mescaline. Some people are like, oh yeah, had weird physical sensations. I thought they were great. I have an atypical response. I like to amanita mushrooms, so put me in that category of rare people, I guess, on that one. But Salvia I used, 50, 60 times overall, over the course of some months. I never had a bad trip on Salvia. I had one little bit of one trip where I thought my feet were sinking through the floor, and I was like, oh shit. But I was dissociated enough by the Salvia that I wasn't actually afraid. And then, of course, once you start coming down, I was like, whoa, that was really weird. The best experiences were all internet related. To tell the truth, I would put on like Hindu music on YouTube and then smoke the Salvia. And on one occasion, I've spoken of this, the little figure of Shiva that I was looking at turned into a weird court jester that was juggling in front of a fire, and the music actually ebbed away. So what had been a fleshed out, like, you know, a typical beat with a sitar and drums and flute and stuff, it was just a weird tribal drum beat, and this jester was sort of grinning at me maliciously for like 10 minutes. It was interesting. And then I felt like I was being pulled into the picture. That happened a lot. But Vice is claiming it's singularly strange and terrifying. No, it depends on how you use it. I never found it to be terrifying. Yeah, there were a couple of trips that weren't as good as the others, but I mean, I found it to be terrifying that one time that I took too much Amanita and I started to experience mild delirium and have weird flashing strobe sort of visions of Australia in my mind's eye. Yeah, that was definitely a little bit on the scary side. I was like, oh shit, you know, maybe I took a little too much. I hope I don't end up in the ER or something. Of course, then I puked and stopped being delirious. And at that point, the trip ended almost instantly. It was weird. But I don't use psychedelics anymore. But having used a lot of substances, I can say like the worst, Datura was one of the worst. And I didn't take that much of it, thankfully. I ended up with very, very mild sort of mind's eye visions. It gave me the dry mouth, certainly. It made my body feel cold. Trust me, the next day, I was still suffering some of the deleterious effects of the Datura. And went for breakfast. I loaded up my normal food. You know, I like flavorful things. I like scrambled eggs slathered in ketchup, and I like marmalade and stuff. All tasted like shit. I couldn't taste it all. Then I was like, oh, come on, well, I need to eat something. So I just grabbed a piece of toast without thinking and ate it. Oh, it was so great. Like the toast that had no flavor at all tasted better than things that normally have flavor. And the only liquid I could get down was water. So my breakfast that day was a couple pieces of toast and water. And then I had my midterm statistics exam and actually got a B on it. So I guess I was functioning all right at that time. Oh man, trust me, after that was done, I skipped the other class that I had that day. I was like, fuck this. I went in, I took a nap, and then I, started to feel better. I could actually salivate again, which was nice. Had to use a lot of water with that dry toast, but tasted really good, trust me, at the time. By the way, if you drink water when you've taken Amanita mushrooms, it's going to taste like battery acid, just so people know. But no, Salvia is not unique in that way. Chemically speaking, as far as how it actually operates on the brain, yes, it is. However, it gets a bad reputation, I think, because a lot of people thought it was like a party drug, and so they took a lot of it, like a really high dose. They heard from their friends, oh yeah, I took that 5 times extract, it didn't do anything, so I got like the 100 times, and then it affected me. You should try this. They load their friend's bong up with a massive amount of Salvinorin, like 10 times more than they actually need, and then they wonder why they have a bad trip. Ultimately, that's what it boils down to. And trust me, even experienced psychonauts encountering a new substance might make that sort of mistake from time to time. And a lot of the people giving anecdotal reports, they're not like dedicated to, oh yeah, I'm studying Mesoamerican religion and I'm taking, mezcal beans and mescaline and stuff and going to hang out with the Hopi. It's not like that. It's people who want a good time. They want a party drug. Salvia is not a party drug. It's a spiritual side sort of psychedelic. It's not like taking Molly, which I never, by the way, took. Probably a good thing that I didn't try ecstasy. Might have had some problems with that. Considering my atypical reactions, I probably would have had a nervous breakdown or something. No, yes. Salvia is not uniquely terrifying. It's also chemically speaking. Even on very high doses, chemically speaking, it's not apparently chemically particularly dangerous. It could be, certainly if you take too much of it, not used to it, and dissociate, you could be a harm to yourself or others. That's why, psychonauts typically have a sober sitter if they know what they're doing and whenever possible. Although there's something to be said, at least in my experience, to solitude sometimes. But it's certainly not. You wouldn't smoke it like marijuana. It's not going to make you see, shimmery colors, make you giggle and stuff. That's not what Salvia does. If that's the kind of trip that you're looking for, Salvia's not your drug. But Vice is spreading drug war misinfo. It is misinfo. This is a mythology. It is a mythology that everyone reacts badly to salvia, and it's just, no matter how much you take, it's absolutely terrifying. You know, I used to hear back in the 90s, ecstasy was the thing they were worried about. Oh, it burns holes in your brain. You know, you can easily overdose on just a single dose, and you can just keel over and die without any pre-existing medical conditions. I can remember the salvia scare, early 2000s. I can remember the inhalant scare. Oh my goodness, the inhalant scare. I remember people in Woodstock were concerned when they were repainting the green. They were concerned that kids were going to get a hold, I guess, of the paint, start huffing it or something. And then pills, like medicine cabinet scare. Then we find out that the real scare all along was really in your own hospitals and pharmacies, where people are getting overprescribed opiate painkillers, opioids and stuff. That's the real concern for our health. Then you know, back in the good old days, you had reefer madness, acid madness, shrooms, man, bananarine. Oh, kids are gonna smoke the banana strings and get high, which was an urban legend promulgated by the Anarchist Cookbook at the time, in part. Hippies thought they could get high off bananas. It's because they were already so high that they tricked themselves into believing that the bananas were psychoactive because of a non-existent oil within them. It's actually hysterical. Now, Vice is completely wrong, and they should know better. They should retract, and they should apologize for their article here and issue a retraction and say, oh yeah, we kind of got it wrong here. You know, some people spoke out against the article because they realized it was full of bullshit, because it is. That's about all. Peace out.